Hi, this is Noma Dimitri from the Alpine Garden. And I'm wondering if you know what this flower is that you see right in front of me. You see, it has basically these cross shaped little flowers that are white with four petals each. And they come up in these bunches that have a peak where the new buds are. And as time goes by, the flowers open up, and it keeps on going up and opening more, making some kind of bunch of grapes looking kind of flowers. Now, you know this plant, you eat it actually, and I don't know if you can recognize it by the flowers. It's much easier to recognize it by the leaf. So I'm going to cut a little leaf and show it to you. Here's the leaf of this thing. Does this begin to look familiar? It should, because this is what's called in different countries arugula or roquette or rocket or roca even. But in the English-speaking world, it's mostly known as arugula, and it's a delicious salad. And the leaves have a particularly, it's not like lettuce, kind of bland and boring and watery, but it's kind of spicy and very, very flavorful and delicious. So arugula is an opportunity for us to discuss a little bit plants whose flowers we eat. There are plants in which we eat the fruit, like a tomato, and there are plants in which we eat the leaves. Sorry, I said flowers before, I meant leaves. And there are plants in which we eat the leaves. We can think of other plants like this, such as, for example, basil. Basil, we also eat the leaves. What are the things to look out for when we plant this sort of plant in our garden? The first one is, I'm going to show you the little plant itself. I'm going to uproot one. I have plenty of them. And I'm going to show you. This is what the whole little plant looks like. This is after about 2 weeks after the seed sprouts. This is what it looks like, and it has the familiar leaves of the arugula. And this is, and the big one, which is about uh, 60 centimeters high, is has been on the ground for a couple of months now. So, what are the things to look for with these kind of plants in which we eat the leaves and not the fruit? In a plant like a tomato, where you eat the fruit, you know when the fruit is ready, when it's nice and juicy and red and plum and soft and aromatic, and you cut it and you eat it. What about with leaf? What are the indications? How do you know when to pick basil, and how do you treat the plant? Um, the the expression again going to seed is very instructive with this kind of plants. In this kind of plants, and again, it includes almost all the little green spices that you use, like coriander and basil and parsley. Is you absolutely do not want the plant to go to this condition in which it flowers. As soon as it goes into flower, the leaves lose their taste. And in many, many cases, they become tough and chewy and fibrous and completely uninteresting, not even so good for soups. Why does this happen? Well, as soon as a plant like this goes into flower, um, it has basically achieved its purpose. It has gotten to the point where it's going to reproduce, it's going to make children, and the seeds of these things are going to be tiny, and they're going to be millions of them. One plant can just make a whole field of arugula. Okay, so right now, this guy, which is in the process of making seeds from the flowers, is very, very excited about colonizing the earth. So all it cares for is to send energy to these guys, so that they will spread themselves everywhere. In order to do that, energy falls from the leaves, and the whole plant turns more rigid and left to its own devices, if you want. Um, And this makes the taste and the texture of the leaves, the part that we're interested in, because we're not really interested in seeds, less interesting. So, what they always say is when you grow these kind of plants, is what they always say, and this is also true for lettuce as well, and all kinds of salad. As soon as it hits the flower stage, it's gone. You cannot reverse it. Even if you cut off the flowers, it's too late now. So what they always say is pinch the head. For example, when you hear advice about growing basil, they will say make sure you pinch the head. Pinch the head means you go to the top of this particular plant and you pinch the part that is about to turn into flower. Um, and this preserves the immaturity, the youth of the plant, if you will, and it makes for a much more tasty and aromatic vegetable, um, leaf of vegetable. Um, so why, this begs the question then, why did I let this happen? I let this happen because I wanted seed, because I want to plant new arugula, and my seed packet is finished, and I make my own seeds most of the time, and this is actually going to make seed for the next enough seed for the next 20 years of my arugula production. So I just happened to leave these plants to go into seed, and that's what I did, and that's what you can do as well. An alternative for me collecting the seed, when this in a couple of weeks this will have the seed ready, is I have two choices. Either I chop off the seed heads and I dry them somewhere out, or I leave the plant as it is, at which point these whole flowers will have become seeds, and they will start with the wind throwing themselves all over the place, and then I will have arugula everywhere. So if you don't want, and instead of arugula, you can think of parsley or coriander or basil or whatever else, whatever other plants are in this category of plant that we eat the leaves. Spinach, Swiss chard, all of what I just said holds true for all of them. You don't want the flowers. So if I don't want these plants to, if I don't want my whole garden to become an arugula garden, then I better be careful not to let the seeds on the plants, and I better collect them and put them away, to plant them only where I want the arugula to go. So we learned two things today. When you're growing plants to eat the leaves, do not let them go into flower. And if you want your own seeds, then let them go into flower by all means, but by all means collect the seeds so they don't invade your entire garden. This is Noma Dimitri from the Alpine Garden. Have a great day.